So for our agenda today, so first, I'm gonna report on the AeHIN supported program for the OpenHIE certification program, what we done last year. And next, Dr. Alvin Marcello will elaborate more on the state of the art of the interoperability lab in Asia. So next, Dr. Alvin will call for the reactions from our AeHIN OpenHIE certified and other AeHIN members. So to ask for that support or that suggestion from the OpenHIE academies. And next, from the OpenHIE team, Jennifer Shivers and Jamie Thomas will talk more about the OpenHIE future activities. So the program we launched last year is a program called OpenHIE Academies Foundations and Health Information Exchange Certification Exam. So AeHIN supported the course of individuals with the course of taking the OpenHIE certification exam, which costs $39. So all the courses and materials to prepare for the certification exam are free through OpenHIE Academy website. So the certification exam designates that the certificate holder understand the basic concepts of interoperability and understand the basic function of health information exchange and the OpenHIE architecture components. And then the program was launched in June 2022. And now we're happy to announce that we have total of 31 exam passes. So here are the exam passes statistics divided by country and sector. So from the 31 exam passes that come from 11 countries, which most of them comes from Sri Lanka, 12 people. And you can see that based on the graph, most of them comes from government sector. Here are some names of the exam passer who consent to publish their name on our social media platform. You can see the list via our website too. So I collected some feedbacks from them. So most of them reflects on the positive feedback. For example, one stated that I really appreciate and thankful to the OpenHIE Academy for offering this valuable learning opportunity. And some of them said the course was well structured and was very clear. There are also the points for improvement. So some of our pastors stated that if possible, it would be nice to include more practical examples of applying the different components of the OpenHIE architecture. And some said that, so suggest to have more advanced courses aimed at implementers and improve the reference technology to be simpler to implement and customize. Here are also some recommendations and comments. There are 2 exam passers comment that to the OpenHIE team. So if you can, please add digital health governance and enterprise architecture or TOGAF courses to the OpenHIE Academy. So I think now is the end of the summary of the OpenHIE certificate program last year. So I would like to give the floor to Dr. Alvin Marcello, our Executive Director.
Thank you, Lukwa, for the summary of all the people who have successfully achieved certification. We are very happy for them and congratulations to them. I hope that they are also individually happy because they have achieved a certain level of accomplishment when it comes to understanding the OpenHIE Foundation. So thank you also to Paul Biondich, Jamie and Jennifer and Shelby for giving us that scholarship, the discounted price for our members to be able to take the certification. So my part is to talk about how we move forward in the state of the art in interoperability. So I'd like to just share a quick list of labs that we have encouraged to form in each country. For your information, way back in 2018, when we had our general meeting in Colombo, Sri Lanka, we started to ask around the AeHIN membership in attendance what they want in terms of support from the Asia eHealth Information Network. And they said, can you help us build laboratories where each country can go to the laboratory, and in that laboratory they can learn more about interoperability. And so we asked countries to volunteer. There were 6 countries in Colombo who volunteered, and today we have 11 right now in this what we call the community of interoperability labs. So we have in Bhutan, it's based in the Ministry of Health. Hong Kong, it's an NGO. In Indonesia, it's a combination of MOH and University of Gadjah Mada. In Laos, it will be in the Ministry of Health, as well as in Nepal. In New Zealand, it's an NGO, Etoroa, New Zealand Interoperability Lab. In the Philippines, I'm leading that lab inside the University of the Philippines, Manila, Standards and Interoperability Lab. In Sri Lanka, maybe we can ask our Sri Lankan teams where they will want to put their labs. We also have commitments for a lab from Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam. Specifically, the Standards and Interoperability Lab in Thailand is now the Standards and Interoperability Lab exemplar for the whole of the community. So they are now who we call the Standards and Interoperability Lab Asia. They will be the ones that will be it's like the big brother and the big sister, so to speak, amongst all the interoperability labs. So expect some new products and new training programs and new capacity building programs from our colleagues from Thailand. So the state of interoperability is organizing, just understanding who are the interested parties in each country, who are the lab leaders, who are the lab managers, getting to know each other. For the past 2 months, we've been having knowledge sharing sessions in between these laboratories. Just today, we had a knowledge sharing session with Standards and Interoperability Lab Thailand to tell us more about how they plan to teach and train the other interoperability labs and also the AeHIN members on interoperability. And so tonight, we invited those who got certified from the OpenHIE because we think OpenHIE plays a big role in the capacity building of interoperability in Asia. In the COIL, we hope to share common frameworks like OpenHIE and tools, and we hope OpenHIE community can also point us to the tools that are available out there, the global public goods that are OpenHIE compliant, so to speak. We hope that we can regularly inform each other how well specific approaches work or don't work in specific contexts. So today we had a connectathon in the Philippines facilitated by our lab with the Ministry of Health, with the National Health Insurance Program, and with EMR developers. And we obtained a lot of insights about the challenges when you want to conduct a connectathon with different stakeholders in one room. In terms of establishing and operating interoperability, we want to understand what are the state of the art in data governance, data exchange within each of these countries. So we hope that the labs in each country would be able to feed knowledge to the others. We hope that the work of the lab will include engaging with governments. So especially for those labs that are in the universities, we don't want them to operate in a vacuum. We want them to offer their services, talents, and tools to the government because government will need all of the help that they need to create this interoperability within the country. We hope that the labs like our exemplar, the Mohawk College Lab, thank you to Derek Ritz for allowing myself and Dr. Bunchay to visit the Mohawk College Interoperability Lab way back in 2015. And from the Mohawk College Interoperability Lab in Canada, we learned the 4 T's of an interoperability lab: the teaming work, the tooling work, the training work, and the testing work. So the 4 T's are what all of these labs will be doing. Of course, they will have their different ways of doing these things, but we hope that as we continue our knowledge sharing sessions, we will inspire each other with new ideas, but also I think at some point we will also normalize. So to me, as the interoperability lab in the Philippines, the OpenHIE Academy, I'm looking at the OpenHIE Academy as a constant starting point for introducing concepts of interoperability. I don't want to create our own interoperability training materials anymore because the OpenHIE Academy is just so good. You know, we just want to let people go there, take the free courses, get the free certification. And if they want to pay for their own certification, we will encourage them to do that. But we think from the University of the Philippines, Manila, at least, we don't want to waste our time creating duplicate content. So we'd rather just do advocacy and do the teaming, which is gathering the stakeholders together, the tooling, which is converting our national policies into fire profiles, the training, we will use the OpenHIE Academy, and then for testing, we can, you know, like assist the Ministry of Health when they already set up their fire server to do that. Interoperability is very complex, as Dr. Bunchay, our chair, has mentioned. The technical aspects of interoperability is probably the easier part. The harder part is the people interoperability, getting people to first agree to work together, and second, to follow the lead of government, and third, to be able to contribute back to government any innovation that we were able to create, because in the end, a shared innovation is much more beneficial to the whole country rather than, you know, innovation that is kept under the table. You know, by being able to collaborate and interoperate as humans, I think that will pave the way for our technology interoperability. So I'd like to end there, and I will leave this list of interoperability labs on the screen, and now open the floor for volunteers from those who got certified, from the other members in the audience who are just interested in OpenHIE. What do you think are the gaps? You have been trained. I'm talking specifically to those who got OpenHIE certified. Are you now able to apply OpenHIE? If yes, how were you able to do it? If no, why not? What are the things that you need help with to get the OpenHIE interoperability framework propagated within your country? So those are the two questions. Have you been able to implement, and what has been your secret? Or if you have not been able to implement, what has kept you from succeeding in implementation, and what help might you need from the OpenHIE community? And remember, because you are all OpenHIE trained or OpenHIE certified or OpenHIE interested, you're already part of the community. So please, you can just raise your hand and we will give you the chance to open your microphone. Don't be shy. Maybe can I call one volunteer right now? Can I ask Vito Puyat to just give us a sense of what happened after the certification, and what more help do you need to get OpenHIE to kick in the Philippines? Vito?
Hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for calling me, Doc Alvin, as well. So I'm Vito. So currently, I used to work with the DOH as well, and also work with PhilHealth as well. So the national government agency in the Philippines, as well as our national health purchaser as well. And in terms of the OpenHIE experience, all of the concept in terms of the architecture and its components have been very helpful in thinking about how we really drive an information system for universal healthcare here in the Philippines. Since a lot of the information systems we have in the country are fragmented now, the concept's a very good starting framework for us, especially in the governing agencies, to really think and set out the groundwork for the data that we really need so that we have more holistic monitoring within our health systems. And personally, in the projects that we're working in now that are very data heavy, the concepts from OpenHIE in terms of collecting data from multiple sources of points of services, and trying to integrate them for common services such as expanded patient indices, consolidated health facility industry registries in the country have been very helpful for us in the future. So in terms of the work that I think really needs to be done in the future is, in general, since a lot of the teams that are working and have the knowledge of OpenHIE are very small right now, if we could really just, with the support of Doc Alvin's team as well, and then everyone else as well in DOH and PhilHealth, really get more people aware about the modules that are being taught in OpenHIE, because they're also very informative and can be easily applied to really also expand the support for it. And so to really get them on board in the initiatives as well, hands-on. So that's the gap I'm seeing right now, is just to increase the involvement and coverage of all stakeholders, both public and private, to really have the benefits from the course itself in our governance and in the implementation of programs.
Thank you, Vito. For myself, I share your sentiment about, there's one thing is learning about it conceptually. The other thing is actually applying it in practice. So I think the first step is getting the inputs, and I think that's what we were able to get when we got you certified. But I think we also need to start jumping into the pool, so to speak, and start getting our hands wet in terms of these interoperability components until we get them from the slides to an actual implementation. I think everything will become abstract and vague. That's why we set up the lab, Vito, para we can, concretize and flesh all of the concepts of interoperability inside the laboratory. Thanks, Vito. Shakira, is it okay for you to share?
Thank you for inviting. Yeah, in Sri Lanka also currently, like the framework is based on this OpenHIE architecture, and like now the building of the registries, the designing and the development process is going on. So by learning this OpenHIE architecture, like it was very much helpful in kind of understanding what's going on right now at the Ministry of Health regarding the interoperability, and also like in some way like to contribute to what's happening by joining certain technical working groups. Also, it has been very helpful. So it was really useful, like following this OpenHIE certified course, and will be useful in the future also to continue my contribution to the Ministry of Health in working with the OpenHIE. Thank you.
Thank you, Shakira. Yeah, if you can, I know that in Sri Lanka, the health informatics professionals are closely linked to the Ministry of Health. It's not the same in the other countries. Sometimes there's a divide between the academic and the public sector. So actually, I envy Professor Vajira and the system in Sri Lanka, where the graduates of the health informatics master's program are actually embedded directly into the Ministry of Health operations right after they graduate. Thank you. Thank you, Shakira. Annie, are you there?
Okay, thank you for inviting me to share. Actually, thank you for the opportunity to get scholarship for OpenHIE. Actually, in Indonesia, is like you mentioned before that we divide between academy and the government. So actually, I also knew in the interoperability, but actually, I hope I can most engage with the UTM in the lab, because actually we are in different city also. So I think I will get more connect with the UTM, how we can get contribute in the interoperability lab, because actually government and academy in the e-health landscape or national landscape is different. So there's our difficult in Indonesia. But I hope if I can get more colleagues and from UCM or another academy, we can get more research and maybe more implement in the e-health in Indonesia. I think that's all.
Thank you, Annie. Annie, are you based in Jakarta or another part of Indonesia?
Semarang in Central Java.
Central Java, yeah, right. So will the DTO Satu Sehat, will it reach you already this year or it will be next year?
In the end of this year, but I think it's not every sector in Indonesia is ready. So many conflicts in implementation e-health in the end of this year, because actually in some part of Indonesia is still lack in infrastructure and human resources and it's thank you.
Yeah, I think the human resources, we can work on the human resources
Yeah.
together as universities, but infrastructure, I don't think infrastructure is
No,
beyond
I
our capabilities.
If I can get more connected with lab UCM, we will more get contribute. I don't know. It's the same person that I ever get workshop. Is they call like I ever get training in FHER, but it's different or not in the lab that you mentioned, because I think when you direct send email to some person in the Indonesia, I never met him before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think, oh, it's a new person that I never know.
But you know, Annie, we're fortunate because Dr. Ivan is in the call. He's from DTO. So I think, and when I was there last January, I think they were presenting the Satu Sehat, and it's really the interoperability platform for the DTO and the MOH. So he's in the call, so maybe you can have some exchange while you're together in the call right now. So just to review, in Indonesia, the lab is formerly, I know, is with the MOH. I know there was Ibu Farida, and there was Tofik Situmpul, and of course Anis Fuad. So I'll introduce you back to them. For Sri Lanka, Shakira, it's Dr. Chaminda Wirabidana. And I'll be giving inputs on the other lab leaders as the presenters give their sharing. Any more? And Vito, the lab is the UP Manila Standards and Interoperability Lab. So of course, you know me already. You can access the lab. We're having a connectathon right now, actually. Any more countries would like to share? Dr. Thep, you are leading the Laos lab. Maybe you can signify what you need right now from the community.
Thank you, Dr. Alvin. Good evening, everyone. For the lab here, based on we develop a digital health strategy, we plan to achieve the health information exchange and use the OpenHIE in 2027. And now we try to recruit the IT people and the doctor who interested to work on the health informatics. And also we try to build capacity. Last year we also sent the one person from Laos to take the course of the OpenHIE and certify. I think this year we also plan to send more staff to learn on the OpenHIE and also for the flyer. Yeah. So I myself now, I also based on based in the Japan for my PhD about the medical informatics. So I think the next few years Lao PDR will be develop like a laboratory of the standard and interoperability and use SAE as the MOS architecture. Yeah, over. Thank you, Dr. Alvin.
Thank you, Dr. Thep. I hope that you are managing the cold in Japan right now. Maybe we can ask others to chime in. Maybe Saldi, Yusuf, do you like to share your requests for next steps? Saldi?
All right. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, very
Yeah.
clear. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, thanks for the AeHIN for the support of being a supporter of our certification program for OpenHIE. Of course, personally, it's very beneficial, yeah, for adding additional value for like my professional development, as well as my contribution for the nationwide HIS implementation, including what Dr. AeHIN used to present about Satu Sehat, because I work a lot with their team. I am currently in the development, one of the development partners who support for the rollout of the Satu Sehat, and as well as the giving technical assistance. And really, the OpenHIE really helps me to grasp very deep about how you can present a concept to including the MOH and also the subnational level in the district health office and provincial health office. I think the OpenHIE, especially for the architecture, help us a lot in explaining the concept, as well as drill down the implementation, right? But I agree with what you previously mentioned about people interoperability. I think Bu Eni already mentioned previously about the people implementation is way more challenging than the technical interoperability. However, the technical interoperability using the OpenHIE architecture help us a lot in designing what we implement here in Indonesia. We already have like facility registry, patient registry, technology service, as well as a shared health record, with connecting them with the point of service that we deeply learn during the process of certification. I think that's all for me. I'm happy to connect with Bu Eni as well. Currently with MOH, we established like a technical working group. I guess Bu Eni can also participate in the technical working group to be like one of the member. So you may give some suggestion included to the MOH and all the level of implementation from national to subnational level. Yeah, it's great, Alvin.
Thank you, Saldi. Eni, don't forget to chat with Saldi so that he can connect you to the MOH people doing interoperability. Thank you, Saldi. Thank you. Anthony, can you briefly share your own requests, Anthony?
Sure, Alvin. Thanks. And as I think the participants have stated, I would say really appreciate the opportunity for AeHIN to facilitate us taking the program. I suppose in some ways, so I'm from Indonesia, so would be keen to connect as well, Saldi, and I think Bu Eni and others. Although I'm based in Australia now, so it's a mixed kind of arrangement. I would say it's the same in a sense. There's a lot of opportunity in Indonesia with Satu Sehat for sure, to progress things, but I suppose it's how we can all work together more easily to contribute towards that as well. And I think this is a good medium to do that. While we have the basics, I think learning more through probably other case studies, or even I would say projects that's successfully been implemented to support interoperability, maybe in the Philippines, in Thailand, and other places would be a useful add-on. Currently, I suppose OpenHIE is focused a lot on the technicalities, right, on the principles of how it works. But if there are practical examples, I suppose, in a structured way, that might be helpful to disseminate around. So yeah, just a bit about that. And again, happy to contribute and connect more on this too. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. I like the case studies proposal. I think that's something you can do even if you're in Australia. You can, of course, write case studies about Indonesia because you know the context. Good. So we only have 20 minutes. So I'd like to pass the floor now to Jennifer and Jamie. You've heard from the community, and some of them I will still welcome to type their questions in the chat box to OpenHIE. Can you tell us more about what's in the roadmap of OpenHIE? Hearing what we've shared today, and also knowing what you're hearing from Africa and South America, and the global community working on interoperability and OpenHIE. So Jen or Jamie?
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. If you don't mind, I put some slides together. This isn't necessarily a presentation, just maybe to illustrate some of the talking points. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly here. I think one of the things I'd like to share with you all is that the OpenHIE community is growing. And so as a part of that, Jamie and Shelby and I, who are on the call, have put our heads together and started working on how can we better listen and strengthen the feedback that we get from your group. So from your group as well as the rest of the community. So it was really great to hear that. I think from your perspective, Alvin, we need to tighten those relationships with maybe the labs and others. But our vision is that there are going to be these implementation projects happening all over the world. And I just put these dots randomly. Appears like one of them might be in the ocean. What we want to do is make sure that we're hearing that feedback. And so one of the things that we're going to do at the OpenHIE 23 meeting, we're going to have which we call an architecture summit, which is really an all play to get feedback and input like you all have given us this morning on what does OpenHIE need to do to strengthen the architecture documentation, the academy documentation, etc. You all probably know that we have sub-communities, and in the past these have focused on things like how do we implement a client registry, a facility registry, a terminology service. We still have those meetings, and in fact the terminology service working group or sub-community and the client registry work sub-community are really strong communities that are actually working on documentation as well as how do people proceed forward with terminology in a country and or patient identity in a country. So those are two of the hot things, but we realized that those groups need to come together and talk amongst each other more. And so we have a forum where we're getting them to try to talk together and work together on how do these parts fit together rather than just focusing on the individual components. And then last week we tried our first example of the project sharing session where we're trying to learn more about the OpenHIE projects that are out there and how we can best support them. So these are just 3 ways that we are planning to increase our listening skills. Then we plan to take whatever feedback we're getting from sessions like this, as well as those, funnel it to a technical committee, which then can help us produce training, documentation, whatever that could then be used by implementers. So we want to make sure that this loop is strong. So that's one of the things that we've been working on. And Jamie, is there anything else I should add there?
No, I think you summarized it really well, Jennifer.
Okay. Okay. And just figuring out how to, there we go. Okay, so then, you know, thinking just about the academy within that bigger picture of the architecture, we want to continue always be listening to the community. So I think without that voice of the community, we won't know the right direction to go. And then I think, you know, the secretariat team is a small group, and I love how Alvin said earlier that by taking the courses and by engaging in meetings like this, you're already, quote, a part of the community. And I think what we need to do is strengthen our partnership so that we're building together and leveraging relevant content that might already be out there. I saw, for example, I saw one of the pieces of feedback was more about how we could incorporate TOGAF. So I would be looking to you all who might be the experts in that, or others in the community who are the experts in that, to identify it for us. Hey, please link this to the academy. Please include this in the academy. So I'd like some more concrete examples of materials that you all think should be in there, or I guess, or I think that we could partner with each other to build what's appropriate. And so I think that would be exciting. The other thing I think I heard from you all, which we've also heard from the rest of the community, is there's really a need to strengthen, especially for those who are the technologists, and as Alvin said, getting their hands wet. So I'll talk a little bit about that on the next slide. But one of the things that we can't even wrap our minds around right now is we know that there's a lot of projects happening within the community. And so Jamie and I have been having discussions about what's the best way to capture who all is doing what, so then we can use that to leverage capacity building. So you'll see us thinking about that in the next few months. Maybe not as relevant to you all, but we've heard from our partners who speak French and Spanish. We've heard from them loud and clear that there are language barriers for those who speak French and Spanish. And so that might be something that we're going to begin to explore about how do we support those members better. So as we think about those technologists that I mentioned, one of the things that we know is right now we kind of have this foundation, which is at a conceptual level, as you all mentioned. We do have some technical courses which talk about fire a little bit. I think more is needed there. And so we're thinking about that. And then, as Alvin mentioned, getting your hands wet. How do we build up something that would allow people who are new to health information exchange partners to get their hands wet? And so the first thing that the community asked us to do is before we can partner and have people maybe ride along on an implementation project, or maybe participate in meetings for an implementation project just to understand the issues and the challenges, or maybe even write code or get their hands really dirty in an implementation project. Before we can do that, we need to know what the implementation projects are that are happening. And so that's where you're going to see us try to like wrap our minds around what are some of those projects out there in the field, and what are the challenges in those projects that would then help us feed back into that foundation for the academy. And then we envision someday that we'd like to have maybe a way to offer a badge or notice that such and such person has led or participated in X number of successful implementation projects, and have some way to recognize that in the community. So this is a vision for how we would like to build that technical pathway. I didn't mention one of the reasons why we're kind of focusing on the technical pathway is that we know that others like CDC and USAID are focusing more on those e-health leader level. We do actually have an emerging community for e-health leaders, but we thought that OpenHIE's sweet spot is probably to try to build more of this capacity building pathway for the technologists. So that's kind of what I wanted to share. Jamie, I don't know if you want to share or you want me to let you share your screen on these.
No, I think if you just keep it up, Jennifer, that might work. So I just wanted to share that these are some ways to stay connected with the OpenHIE community. We do have a community forum, which is the discourse.ohio.org. We have a community mailing list. We also have a WhatsApp group, which is sometimes an easier way to kind of stay connected all the time. And Jennifer and I are also on a couple of the AeHIN lists, always there for people to reach out. We know that's easily accessible to all of you. So always happy to do that. And then, if there's anything that you'd like to share or present on to the community to, to share challenges, to talk to subject matter experts, we do have that OpenHIE Implementers Network that we brought up earlier. And I'll go ahead and put my email into the chat, and people can always reach out if there are topics of interest as well. I think that's all I'd say around that, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer. Jamie, could you go back to your roadmap, Jennifer? I think that's a good clue of what we can do for this year. So definitely we have the Academy Foundation certificate, right, Jen? That's where we got the first cohort from AeHIN. Is it a requirement now for the Academy Certification Foundation? Academy Foundation certificate, we have 31 right now in AeHIN, and they're the ones who are eligible for the technical courses, right, Jen?
So the question is it a requirement that they would have the certification before they could do the hands-on experience? Is that what the question was?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think what we would do is if they haven't already had the certification, that we would make sure that that's the first step in getting the hands-on experience. So somehow we would work on doing that. I think the other thing is that we need, because OpenHIE isn't actually doing those projects, we would need to partner with folks like the labs and I don't know, InterHealth, University of Washington, people who are ministries of health who might be implementing those projects on the ground to further flesh out what those experiences might be like. Community members have suggested it can be those experiences. We could start very small, and it would be just participate in the project team. So hear what the challenges are, hear how the project team is going to resolve the challenges. So it could be minimal participation like that. Or depending on the skills of the person, maybe they could advise on terminology implementation if they're an expert, or they could write code if they have those skills. So really we're trying to figure out, like, first, what are those projects that are happening, and then how might people be able to participate in those projects. So we have work to do on our side to lay out what does that participation look like, but we think that that might be a way to connect teams. And of course, the question of finances came about, like, what does it mean to participate? Is there financial compensation involved, or is this purely learning? I think we would need advisement from the rest of the community on how we flesh that out. But I think what we're imagining is starting simple, which might mean, without talking about money, or without thinking about money, thinking more about just participation and learning, and then move toward a more complex model once we mature a little bit. But that's the thinking that's currently happening.
So you read my mind, Jennifer, because I was already budgeting. I wanted to budget another 40 people for the Academy Foundations and 31, so that those who are certified now can take the next level of certification. So you still have that same price for the Academy Foundations, but you don't have a price yet for the technical certification. Is that what
Yeah. Yeah, so it would probably be more of a so it was labeled experience. And so what I meant by that was that it would be, yeah, it's like a short-term hands-on experience, because we think that really, and you can push back on this, but we think that really once you kind of have that foundation, the next things you need to do is do something or be a part of a team that does something.
Okay.
And so what we need to do is put this in place with the community, because like I said, OpenHIE is not usually doing these projects. What we need to do then is partner with those groups that are actually doing the projects and figure out a way for people to participate and or learn alongside the project that is happening. So, you know, I think what ways we're doing that right now, which wouldn't be badge worthy, but are helpful, is that we do have the OEHIN presentations that Jamie mentioned, where, you know, lessons learned are shared, but we're thinking to really build your expertise, you have to actually be a part of a project. That's our thinking right now, but we're open to feedback and thoughts about how we do that.
Well, I have a suggestion, Jennifer. Since we have 11 labs already in the network, and you have, you know, you have the content already, then the labs, you can partner with the labs, and the labs can be where the OpenHIE certified people, or those who want to get certified, can go and get their hands wet, so to speak, with the labs. We have in the call Dr. Chaminda from Sri Lanka. He leads the Sri Lankan lab. I lead the Philippine lab. Dr. Sep leads the Laos lab. So we're not in the dearth of getting the labs to understand. Maybe what we can do is have another meeting with the labs so that it's clear what you expect for the people having implementer experience in the labs, Jennifer. But definitely the labs are, I think, on the table. Maybe we can hear from Dr. Chaminda. Dr. Chaminda, do you have a microphone? Can the Sri Lankan lab offer implementer experience?
Yeah, thanks, Alvin. Yeah, we are actually moving now into the Colombo Medical Faculty. We got a new place as well. So I think once we are set up, we should be able to offer something, and as well as you know, countries rapidly moving towards implementing all the building blocks like you know, the client registries, provider registries, facility registries, the interoperability layer, terminology services, so as well as a shared health record. So I think most of the components will be there, and we are also trying to implement a very thin slice, so it's not so complex as well. So somebody learning might be able to, you know, just see how everything works without so much of you know, complexity as well. So it's definitely on the cards. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Chaminda. Thank you. Jen, so we have a monthly meeting amongst ourselves, the AeHIN leadership and the OpenHIE leadership. If it's okay with you, I'll start opening it up to the lab leadership as well, because in the end, I think the dissemination of OpenHIE will probably be through the labs, or the community of interoperability labs. Jennifer.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. And yeah, maybe Chaminda, you and I can put our heads together and have a conversation about what does implementer experience look like and what would that mean, and make sure that we have that conversation and try to move that level of experience forward, or opportunity to have an experience forward.
Okay.
Sure, Jennifer. Thank you.
Go ahead, Dr. Chaminda, you want to add something?
No, that'll be fine. Yeah, we can have a chat and then you know, chat out the future goals as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chaminda. Oh, some people are still joining. Before we end, just wanted to announce that this Wednesday, March 1, 6 p.m. Manila, we have Dr. Mark Braunstein giving a talk on how FHIR is transforming care for providers and their patients. For those of you who are not yet familiar with Dr. Mark Bronstein, he's quite a fellow and a known leader in interoperability in the US. So please join us then. And maybe final words from Jennifer and Jamie.
I just want to thank you all for investing and giving us feedback. It was very much appreciated, and we would love to have more detailed feedback. Your point about case studies is well taken, and we do have some high-level case studies, but we realize that there's an opportunity to make those more robust. And so, again, I just appreciate your time and your interest.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I would echo what Jennifer said, Alvin, and I also just want to share with people, I put a link in the chat to OpenHIE 23. We are extending our early bird registration until March 10th. So that's an announcement today. So I wanted to make sure I shared it with you guys. And just if people could go out there and take a look, we also have a board out there where we're beginning to just let people seed ideas. We do host unconference sessions during OpenHIE community meetings. And so that's just a place to, again, seed some ideas, see what others are thinking around topics for that meeting. And so I would encourage people to go out there and check it out.
Thank you, Jamie. So for the 31 who got certified, please get ready. The next level is implementer experience. We'll thresh out how to do that, and please prepare for that. And then we'll open up another 40 slots for more people to take the Academy Foundation certificates. And with that, good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And I'll invite the leaders again to another meeting with OpenHIE 1 month from now. Thank you.
Bye all.
Bye. Thank you. Good luck to your interoperability work. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.